Cloud, internet, whatever you like to call it. And these devices don't have any other relationship to each other. So one could be a temperature sensor, the other one could be a speed sensor, the other one could be a GPS tracker. But all of them working in unison to give you data that you can actually use. And that's the really basic version of what the Internet of Things actually comes down to. Why it's important is you'll see now. So in 2013, there's a few billion devices, and you can see by the year 2019 there'll be a lot more. So we're looking at approximately 25 billion devices, and that's a growth in 6 years. So you can see the exponential growth there. If you have a look at things like connected cars, wearables, connected smart TVs, tablets and smartphones, you can actually see that yes, they're growing, but they're not growing at the exact same rate. Probably because you've got down the bottom the consumer devices only, and up the top is also consumer as well as industrial. So we're not just talking about devices that will sit in someone's house, they'll also sit in someone's warehouse, they'll also sit in someone's manufacturing plant. So therefore you'll get a lot more devices in the world, and this is why the Internet of Things is really, really important to get a grasp on early on. Now, from a retail perspective, are people actually ready for the Internet of Things? The short answer is yes. Nearly 96% of retail decision makers are ready to make changes required to adopt Internet of Things. That could be anything. It could be in their warehouse, could be in the front of store, could be in the back of store, could be anywhere. What this is actually telling us is that they are seriously looking at utilising the Internet of Things for their business. 67% have already implemented IoT, and another 26 of retailers are planning to deploy within the next year or so. So that's a large number of retailers who are looking at utilising the Internet of Things to transform the way they actually do their business. What sort of devices are people looking at as far as the Internet of Things in this example? Well, the main one is the easy one, barcoding, scanning. That's a really simple one. The other one goes down to RFID as well as other sensors, but the basics for all of this is pretty much barcodes and scanning. From there, you can actually start building on your omni-channel for a retailer and make sure that you've got the efficiencies coming through the chain from the manufacturer to the DC, to the back of the store, to the front of the store. Just making sure that's a nice, smooth, continuous process. So, is the Internet of Things here, or are we just talking about it as a buzzword? And quite simply, it's here. So, not that you can tell by my waistline, but I am a keen cyclist and I do enjoy cycling. So this is a little program called Strava. And within Strava, I can actually point out where I've gone. So that's my ride there. I've switched it on and I've gone out for a ride. And it plots out where I've been. So you can actually see that I did about 43 kilometres this day, and that's the path I took. Also, you can see what speed I was going at, my heart rate, my cadence, in other words, how fast I was pedaling. So I can see a whole lot of information in one hit that gets linked back to a cloud. So these are a really basic example of the Internet of Things right here that I use by myself. And again, what I do with this is I utilise it as my own sort of big data, which is the other term that everyone's looking at. So again, big data is useless unless you look at it and use it for something useful. From here, I can see how far I've gone, how high I've climbed, and I can compare my times with myself and with my others. So again, I'm using this information to basically say, this is how I want to improve. Okay, this is how I want to sort of try and embed myself and take myself to a slightly higher level as far as my cycling is concerned. How do I do that? Well, first of all, you can actually see that first I need a GPS tracker. So there's one thing that's going onto the internet. I've got a bicycle computer, I've got a heart rate monitor, I've got a cadence sensor, I've got a power meter. All of this can be added together, and these are unrelated things where I can plug them into a program that sits on the cloud, and it can give me all the information that I need. Again, these are all sensors that are not related to each other. Okay, but the key is that they all go onto the Strava site and they all basically can record in real time. Speaking of the real time, and sort of this is where you can build on sort of the Internet of Things and build a lot more on it. There's a term that we use in Zebra called Enterprise Asset Intelligence, and that basically refers to being able to use the Internet of Things to do something actually a little bit more useful. So the first one is you need to sense something happening. Okay, so there's an Internet of Things device that senses an action. So it could be a sensor that senses a temperature drop. What we then do is we have a real-time system based somewhere in the cloud that analyses that. And then from that analysis, basically what you've got is an action. So for argument's sake, if this temperature sensor says I've gone higher than 4 degrees Celsius, then it will trigger an action for someone to come and do something about it. So if this was a refrigerator in a grocery store, where all the milk and all the dairy is held, we could trigger the fact that it wasn't working anymore. We could analyse the fact that it wasn't working. We could try and figure out why it wasn't working, and then we can action it by sending someone out there by raising an alert on someone's iPhone or something like that. Okay? So it's really a way of looking at the Internet of Things in real time and being able to utilise the Internet of Things for something useful in real time. Now, I'm going to talk to you quickly about a little concept called One Store, One Experience that we have at Zebra. Now, the way to look at this is, if I shop from a particular brand, whether I buy online or whether I buy from the storefront, I see the same brand. I don't recognise between a DC, a back of store, or front of store. If a retailer says to me that I have 4 of these in stock in the Impact store, then basically I need to be able to go in there and say, okay, I want 4 of them, you've got them in stock. If they say to me that they've got 4 in stock and they don't, that doesn't lead to a very nice experience. Basically what happens there is the frustration. And this is the whole thing. It doesn't matter whether you're looking at a bricks and mortar store, or you're looking at the DC, or you're looking at whichever part of that business. It's all part of the omni-channel, and the customer will only see one store. So if they've got a bad experience on their online business, their bricks and mortar store will suffer at the same time. And that's the way to look at it. It's putting the customer first and basically saying to the customer, whatever we guarantee you, we'll be able to deliver quite easily. So there's some challenges with that. Now the first one is out of stocks. Out of stocks is a very big issue as far as customer expectations are concerned. So what you have is, again, your website said that you had 3 in this store. I've spent half an hour driving here when I had other things to do to pick these things up, and now you're telling me that you don't have them. I'm not happy. I'm going to go take my business elsewhere. You know, and this is a very large problem across the whole supply chain. So what needs to happen, and part of the challenges with the omni-channel, is making sure that we do have an accurate view of our inventory at all times. Okay. From there, basically, you've got consumer channel preference that you can use. So whether I pick it up from the store, or whether I pick it up or get it delivered to home. Event planning, you can plan around sort of what needs to happen when. And also the sales conversion challenges that go up with that. Okay. Most likely, if someone shops online and then they go into a store to pick up, there's also a great chance to upsell. Oh, I know you're here picking up this pair of pants. We've also got these shoes that would go with it. And looking at that sort of thing. So again, this is some of the stuff that needs to be taken into account for the omni-channel, as far as making sure that we can actually give this customer a one-store view of everything and give them a pleasurable experience so that they can come back. How we can do that is by utilising the Internet of Things. Okay, so giving the customer an experience that they've never had before. Because at the end of the day, if we're